And for me, you know, the Kisis are celebrating. There was this talk about, oh, the Kisis will be very angry if they don't get it. I wish we get to a point where we don't look at any appointee in this country as a tribe. You know, for me, he's a Kenyan. He passed the interview. He is talking tough, and that's what we need. Now we wish him well. Get in there, get dirty, do the job.
Yes, of course, a lot has changed, as you said. But Gladys Wanga, what would be the one thing that, if at all he doesn't manage to do anything else in his tenure, what would be the one thing that would you want the new Chief Justice to do?
I think what is really critical, he comes in at a really critical time, and this is the election season. And the one thing that has the ability to break this country is elections. And we know the role that the judiciary has to play within these democratic processes. I think he has to deal with, you know, Willie Mutunga had a very you know, good career at the judiciary, but the one thing that he never managed to shed off is this Supreme Court ruling of 2013, where people didn't quite, you know, believe or know that this was the right thing that they did. So I think Justice Maraga is faced with the electoral question. He starts with it because once he's sworn in today, as you've said correctly, he swears in the selection panel. So he starts immediately with election work. So I think as a Kenyan, I'd be looking up to him to do the right thing in the event that the judiciary or the Supreme Court is called upon during the electoral process. Not just the Supreme Court, but the High Court and so on, dealing with election petitions from across. So I think he has to handle elections well. But then, of course, he was also, coincidentally, the day he was approved is the day the corruption issues came up. So I think Kenyans are looking at him or to him to see how he's going to deal with the issue of moving away the blame, the corruption blame, from the judiciary. Of course, we're going to talk about the issue of corruption more, and I'm going to, you know, give my thoughts as to, because I think people are just throwing blame, the founder dustbin, where everybody can move their blame there. But I think he has to deal with the issue of elections well, properly. We have to believe that, you know, whatever he does is the thing, and Kenyans have to believe that. And two, he has to handle the issue of corruption, and of course continue what I think the judiciary has really moved. It's not that, you know, it's not that those courts that we said we would never go to. You know, there was a time that people said, you know, we can't go to those courts because they are so executive controlled. But I think Willie Mutunga has managed to move the judiciary to a point where it begins to look a bit independent, and I think he should continue that. And
of course, a lot was said about the former Chief Justice Willie Mutunga, that some things he wasn't able to do because he was an outsider and not necessarily someone who's gone up the ranks through the judiciary. Do you think that Justice Maraga, having been in the system for this long, is better placed to actually do what Gladys Wanga says?
I really do want to believe that that Justice Maraga has a very good chance of doing much more than even Willie Mutunga was able to do, because of just that fact that he's been in the system. I think he has, is it 25 years in private practice, and another 13 years, you know, as a High Court judge, and you can see, so he understands the system very well. All those things that we are accusing the judiciary of, because you can see, like yesterday she's talking of the dustbin. Everybody really, it almost boiled down to you know, issues corruption. It is the courts. On issues, you know, all the things that we say are bedeviling this country, which in most cases is all those tribalism, corruption, and all these things. You find that you know, everybody is putting the blame on the judiciary. So he has a very gigantic task, I would say, and Kenyans have got a lot of are putting a lot of faith on him. You know, we've been disappointed in this country. I mean, you saw the frustration of our president yesterday. He literally, you know, said, what haven't I done, you know, for the constitution is there, we have implemented the constitution, we have put institutions in place, but at the rate that corruption is going in this country, it is taking off, and nobody can really pinpoint to say who is to blame. And you know, so I want to say, Maraga, you know, you do the right thing, like we are all saying. You know what Kenyans are looking for, and you know, I always tell Kenyans, it's not about an individual. It is a whole system. So even if we put all our faith on Maraga, and you know, he won't do it alone. It's got to be that all of us must begin to change. You know, so if he, you know, I'm happy he wants to digitize, you know, and I'm telling you that's not going to go down well for a lot of people, because a lot of these corruption things is about just these lost files, and you know, all these
courtrooms being burning down.
You know, all that's what it has been about. So he has a gigantic task before him. We wish him well, and we just want to tell him, do the right thing, you know, bring in these religious values, because that came